If I can give a personal example, several years ago on a day off, my wife and 2 daughters and I were heading out to Yelm to go on a bike ride when I got the call that my mom had passed. So we drive from Yelm to Lakewood, and the first person I see standing on the porch of my mother's house is Rick Bowman. And immediately I thought, okay, it's gonna be all right because Rick's here.
When we do our role correctly, we have provided a sense of understanding, a sense of hope where maybe there wasn't really any when we first walked in.
I don't even know how to phrase it. The value.
It's kind of a magical feeling when they arrive. It's like, okay, it's going to be good now.
So that we're there to help and we'll do whatever it takes.
It's an invaluable part of what we do with the police department.
Volunteer to do basically the same thing we're doing, except you're handling people's emotions. It's quite a calming.
Police don't normally get to be able to communicate with people. They just see a uniform, but when they actually hear chaplain or see chaplain, it kind of lowers their defenses and allows us to connect on a different level that we can't normally do.
I try to explain what I see as the role of chaplains, is they help us do our jobs, and they help us do some of the most difficult parts of our jobs in serving the community.
When we get on the scene, one of our first jobs is to contact the person in charge, law enforcement or fire, assess what they really need us for.
They're more training and are able to actually reach out and connect with someone on a different level. They just see a police officer in a uniform, but with a chaplain, they're able to really understand that we do feel their loss and their pain.
But I've been through an incident that no one wants to go through, and all too often as an officer or as a first responder, you are tied up in the roles that you need to do.
Just want to get the facts out and work on the call and, get the bad guys in custody. And we forget about the human element to this job sometimes, which is what the chaplaincy really helps us with.
And they do an outstanding job making sure that people are taken care of, not only at the time of the incident, but beyond that in the follow-up.
So it's nice to have a friendlier, kinder civilian face that can bridge the gap between law enforcement and or police officer and community.
For the past 2 summers, I've had the opportunity that chaplain came out with us and we did popsicle patrol. So we went to the different parks and we gave out popsicles to a bunch of the kids.
They don't just protect the community, and help us, they also help our families. Families serve just as people with badges on serve.
It gives me a great security to know that my husband and his fellow officers and the firefighters, they have someone to talk to. Some of the things they experience, they don't want to take home and share with their families. And so it's important that they can talk about that with someone who's been there and who understands.
It's self-care, which is so important. We sit down and we talk about those tough calls that we went on.
You get that kind of that relationship as patrol deputies or officers where you feel like you're kindred spirits because they've been there through calls with you, and it's very similar with the chaplains too, so I consider some of them very, very dear friends.
We wear Kevlar vests to protect us physically, but the physical threat that we face is not as dangerous to us as other threats, and the other threats are emotional and spiritual. That I believe that our chaplains are our spiritual armorers. They protect us that way.
When we lost Jake, our chaplain was there at the hospital with us. They stand the line with us. They are there with us, feeling our pain and our hurt.
I really want to say this has been on my heart for quite a while. And I tell people a lot, they always ask me, how can you be around so much death and so much crisis and so much of this? And I tell them, if I looked at it like that, I wouldn't be able to do it. When I get on that scene, I walk into turmoil. I walk into families that maybe they're pulling their hair or tugging at their clothes, I don't know, whatever reactions they have. If I do my job right, when I leave, I can see a little upturn in the corner of their mouth, maybe the beginning of a smile.
Law enforcement, the fire service, it is an exposure to the worst. You don't call 911 because you're having a good day. You're calling 911 because it's the end of the world for you. And along with that comes the care of not only our personnel, but of the overall community. And the chaplains fill that role. We're not prepared to do that. They have lived their lives preparing that, and that's what they're doing right now.
I can tell you, had I not had the training, the experience that I have under my belt now, I don't know if I could do some of the things that chaplains do.
Our chaplains have an opportunity to get some of the best training, and without the resources from our supporters, they would not be able to do that.
I don't know how many times where I've walked on the scene, maybe I'm wearing this uniform, or maybe somebody recognized me as a chaplain without the uniform on. And they've come up to me and say, I just want you to know that we are so thankful that we have you guys out there. And people come up and they look at my shirt and say, chaplain? Sheriff's Department? I mean, there are people out there that are absolute volunteers that do this just like we do.
They volunteer and they come out, their call-outs are in the middle of the night, just like firefighters and police officers. And
get them up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. They go to the scene and they do an outstanding job there. I can't put price on it.
You really have to have a passion in order to sacrifice. I also think that our supporters should really understand that another portion of their giving goes to allowing our chaplains to not have to use their own finances because they are volunteers. When they want to go out and meet with a family and support someone, that comes from the support of our community, where they can buy in that cup of coffee or a cup of tea and sit down and really have a great conversation with them without having a huge financial impact on their personal finances.
The value of what our supporters give to us is absolutely endless.
They do so much behind the scenes that no one sees.
Hard stuff to do. Chaplains have the heart, the courage to do that.
When I need them, I know they'll be there for me.
Without having our chaplain there, I don't know if we would have properly been able to serve.
They care about us and they care about our community, and they need our support, and frankly, we need theirs.
How do you say that the chaplaincy serves a greater purpose here?
If we could get all 54 of our chaplains here, they'd all say in unison, thank you so much for what you're doing for Tacoma Pierce County Chaplaincy, because all of this is such a tremendous help. It makes our job easier, it makes us safer, and we definitely appreciate it.